One of the things that La Republique tried so hard to do was to say, no, this is an internal matter for La Republique. But they forget that you as a sovereign country, you only have so much, and there's certain laws you have to obey. And because you do not obey those, you are losing that sovereignty.
Does the president of this country know that the governors and the DOs and all the administrators you have sent to West Cameroon are out there behaving exactly like an army of occupation? Our people have nowhere to go. We have made all the efforts. Our ancestors and our forefathers trusted you to go into a gentleman's agreement that two people who considered themselves brothers could go to live together. If this is what you show us after 55 years, then those who are saying that we should break Cameroon are right. They are correct. The people of West Cameroon cannot be your slaves. The people of West Cameroon are not, you did not conquer them in war. If this is what you are saying that we should live in, I say simply, no, it will not work.
No, it will not work. You can bring the army of La Republique, you can bring the French army and come and take on the people of Ambazonia, and it will not work. But I'm thinking that when Fami Ndongo listened to that, when Fami Ndongo sat in his house and listened to that, he was thinking, qu'est-ce que vous allez faire? What are you going to do?
Last week, I went to see the Minister of Higher Education, Professor Fami Ndongo, and I told him, the problems in Cameroon, the problem we have in West Cameroon, is the problem that will bring down Cameroon. If you do not handle it well, you will not know Cameroon as it is in a few months or in a few years. When people have had pent-up anger and pain, humiliation, for over 50 years, when it bursts out, you will never be able to control it. And I told him, and simply what he asked me was, qu'est-ce que vous allez faire? Because you have your army of occupation out in West Cameroon, you believe that when the people will rise, even if you took the whole of the French army and added to yours, you will never bring them down.
And Paul Biya, I'm very sure he was not listening. But I'm sure he was told, or he was shown the tape. And he looked at it and said, oh, so if I conquer you in a war, I can now legitimately take you over. And so on November 30, on the 30th of November 2017, Paul Biya declared a war against Ambazonians. And when he declared that war, he thought, I have all the military. They don't have a military. I run the place. I've been running it for 50-something years. So he sent his military there. But before he sent his military, there was a war strategy. When you go there, be as fast, be as devastating, get them running scared, and in 2 weeks, it will all be over. They will come pen in hand and beg for mercy. And then at that time, they will accept that they are not part of a Federated Republic of Cameroon. They are not part of a United Republic of Cameroon. They are part of La République du Cameroun. Yes. The colonization was total. And like he admitted in Paris, I mean, he at the time he was not ready to admit that they have failed. He thought the assimilation was complete. Qu'est-ce que vous allez faire? There's another quote that we need to remember before we continue, and this one was by Amadou Ali, Minister of Justice.
The then Minister of Justice, Amadou Ali, 10 years ago, and I took my time, drove from Kombo to Yaoundé to tell him something is brewing out there. This thing that you people are sending gendarmes to beat people up and say all of these things, there is pain in West Cameroon. And as Minister of Justice, be very careful what happens there. And he turned around, looked at me, and told me, Mr. Wirba, it is your people who choose to come here. He is alive. He told me.
It is your people who chose to come here. It is the people of Southern Cameroon who chose to join the French colonial empire. But it's not true. It's not true. Because when the British went to Manthe in a conference there and they were trying to force the people of Ambazonia to either join Nigeria or La République du Cameroun, they said no. And the British say you have no choice. And that statement that you have no choice was in violation of the United Nations Trust Territory Article 76B, which said, lead the trust territory to independence or to self-government. Ambazonia was being prepared for independence. In 1958, the Constitution was written. But for Western interests, they decided, nah, let's not give them independence. Let's not give them the independence. Let's violate it and shove them into Nigeria or throw them into La République du Cameroun, where there was a raging war going on. The front of Bafut said it very clearly that Nigeria is an ocean and La République is fire. We don't want any of them. We want independence. The British said, nope, sorry. And that was the end of Ambazonian independence. And so when Amadou Ali says it is your people who chose to come here, that is not true. The people of Ambazonia were forced into this colonial empire. They tried for 57 years to make it work. It did not work. And in Honorable Joseph Wirba's statement in that Hall of Shame called a parliament, he made it clear that if La République was thinking that they have an army, they can go and bring the army of France and join it to that of La République, and they will not defeat Ambazonia. I think they totally misunderstood what the man meant by you did not conquer us in a war. What he was saying was that we came, there was an agreement. There was an agreement that brought us together, and those agreements need to be respected. We were not a free people, and somehow you came and imposed on us this, the way the Germans did. No, that's not what happened. What happened was that there was a game that was played, and somehow we ended up being part of your country through what were lied to be an agreement which at the time you knew you were going to violate it and you did everything to make sure it did not work. And in 2016, 2017, the Ambazonian people said it was over. And when they said it was over, Mr. Paul Biya on the 30th of November 2017 came and declared war. They decided that they were going to go devastate the place, and in a very short time they will be home. Till today, they're still there trying to slug it out. They're trying to slug it out. They've killed, and killed, and Ambazonians have said, nope. It reached a point where for every single Ambazonian life taken, the door became wider and wider for La République to move out. And where they thought time was on their side, or power, or the power of the gun was on their side, they started realizing that those things are not for them anymore. The guns were not working, and time was not on their side. And so they went on a rampage. Pinyin happened. Gabo happened. Kumba happened. Matu just happened. The last one is what happened in Pinyin. Not in Pinyin, in Du. I know when I hear the name Du, people should know that what is happening in our territory now and the barbarism, the killing, the destruction of property, it's not happening because the Ambazonian people suddenly decided that, you know what, let's talk and have some serious conversation, and they decided that let's shut conversation with the gun. No, it was just what they did to the Ambazonian people from 1961. In the 90s, the Ndu people were harassed. They burned their houses, break them down, send people into the bushes. Women started having babies in the bushes in Ndu, or the one I knew, the one I actually saw the videos. It was in Ndu. So what they did to this young man in Ndu, it's just the practice of La République du Cameroun and their French training, their French supervision, all encoded into a colonial agreement, into a slave agreement, where the French impose on the people of La République du Cameroun that we will control your military and we will come in anytime we want. And for this agreement to hold, we'll be there. We'll be what we call co-parents. We'll be there. So if you take a look at the pictures of Cameroon military, Cameroon security agencies, it's embedded with French people, and they're not hiding it because they're standing there in their uniforms. It's not a secret. So every single Ambazonian that has fallen, the blood of the Ambazonians is taken by the French. The people of La République probably would not have had interest in Ambazonia. What would they do with it? What would they do with Ambazonia? But the French engineered all of it, and they're forcing it, and today it's not working. And that's not been working. The frustration is just growing. You know, let me come to Ndu and just tell you what happened in Ndu. So in Ndu, they went and caught this young man, and they beat him up. They become so arrogant because of the French protection. They become so arrogant that they thought nothing can happen. Mighty France has protected them. They will continue to protect. But they did not know that mighty France was not that mighty, and was coming under the same pressure because mighty France knows what is right and what is wrong. They've always had their way with what is wrong, but in Ambazonia, the people of Ambazonia are determined that this is it. This is it. We have fought not to be part of Nigeria, and this is the last enemy to make the people of Ambazonia go back home. They will not be Yobaminda anymore. And so it's just interesting what has been happening since Ndu. You know, because of the heat they got in Gabu, because of what they know or what the world knows that happened in Kumba, what happened in Matu, because all the reports have been written. Lying doesn't help. They used to think that just being a minister they can lie. So Chiruma lied, and they realized that no, well, maybe it's Chiruma, let's bring somebody else. And the lies continue to work. So the lies don't work anymore. So Matu was by La République du Cameroon, security forces that went and murdered people. And sometimes they put it on camera, sometimes they don't. But when you send these people who have a fourth grade education, sometimes they don't know left and right. They're just happy that they are fighting for the French, killing their African brothers, for the French to remain France in Europe. And so they took the video, they put it out, and the video embarrassed La République because one, may be a mistake, two, a lie may work, and the lies just were not working anymore. And so very quickly the duo Omdu sent a letter decrying the thing, and then they picked up these guys and arrested them and they locked them up. All of this is showing signs that La République knows that time is not for them and the guns are not working anymore. They are trying to, if you listen to what they were trying to get out of the man in Du, they were looking for a freedom fighter. So they've come down to where they're like, we are not going to have a dialogue. We tried to have the monologue, which was a lie. It was a blindfold. It didn't work. And it's like, God, what do we do? And so right now they think that they can go and look for each Amba boy or each freedom fighter, and somehow they will kill all of them really quick before what? Before the international community come down? No, they're coming down. They're coming down. I'll tell you how they're coming down. Recently, the U.S. Congress passed Resolution 684. And since that resolution passed, there has been the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation. If you attended that coalition, or if you were in that conference, you would have heard the arguments there. You would have seen those who were arguing. They're not just Ambazonians. One of the things that La République tried so hard to do was to say, no, this is an internal matter for La République. But they forget that you as a sovereign country, you only have so much, and there's certain laws you have to obey. And because you do not obey those, you are losing that sovereignty. Because the sovereignty is to you're supposed to use your sovereignty to govern properly the people within that territory. Even those that you captured are under your control, there's still a legal guidance on how to govern them. And so you lose that sovereignty. And La République is feeling the heat. All the different delegations that came down, and I don't know if they were ignored or what, all the statutes that were given out, those did not help. Those did not help. So after Resolution 684, there was the Coalition for Dialogue and Negotiation Conference, where the international community is beginning to speak really clearly. There was a Canadian committee conference also. There was the Oxford Conference on the U.S. Senate Resolution 684. If you went and listened to that, you'll hear the case being made, not just by Ambazonian, but by international organizations. It's not good news for La République du Cameroun and the French. And one of the things that that resolution 684 did was put the French squarely responsible for what is going on in La République du Cameroun. Because what the French did in all its colonies in Africa was blindfold the whole world. And so they're running the place, but pretending that it's the black faces that they put there running the place. I think that is not working either. The American Secretary of State also came out and spoke very clearly, mentioning the Southern Cameroons by name in the Senate confirmation. That is one of the trouble areas in the world that need to be addressed. And I think he actually talked about violence against Anglophone, English speaking in Cameroon. So these things, all the lies. I wonder where that guy who was threatening the American ambassador. I don't know what he's thinking now. Now, the other thing they're doing is that, and I've been listening to a lot of freedom fighters on the ground report on this. What they are doing now is, since showing up as B with B uniform hasn't worked, they're now beginning to disguise as Amba boys. And they'll go and kill people and kill chiefs and blame it on Amba boys. And unfortunately for them, you are a foreigner in that territory. When you open your mouth or when you walk, you don't walk like an Ambazonian. You don't quack like an Ambazonian. You walk and quack like a foreigner in that land. So it doesn't matter how you're dressed. You are known. And so they're putting all these fake videos and pretending that these are Ambazonians mistreating their own people. And you can see, and take a look at this video.
They don't carry me this morning for bush. I don't know who's are they. I beg. They want 10 million francs. I beg. I take God. I beg. When I try for see, when I send me the 10 million francs. I beg. When I send 10 million francs for them. I beg.
You can see that this is something staged. Doesn't work. Now, what's the message in all of this? The message to Ambazonians is that this thing is coming to an end. There's still a lot of work to be done, but we can see the writing on the wall. La République can see the writing on the wall. Everybody internationally is beginning to say this nonsense has to end. It didn't have to happen. This is a situation where citizens, very responsible citizens, lawyers, say, let's have a dialogue about a few things so that we can live together. You say, no, we are not going to have no dialogue. We'll ignore you. And if we're going to do anything, we'll pretend. It will only be a pretend because we have the gun. What are you going to do? I think the question is, who is going to have the last laugh? Now, with what is happening internationally, and I want to address this because I think this is one of the things that is really missing in this struggle. What is happening internationally with all these conferences and the people taking part and the people who work to make all of these happen, they're all being done by Ambazonians in the diaspora. They're very quiet, silent, effective Ambazonian in the diaspora. They are not on social media. They don't call themselves generals. They don't call themselves commander-in-chief. They don't call themselves presidents. They're just quietly doing the work. And if you attend some of these conferences, you can hear them speak very responsibly. They speak very clearly. And That's the Ambazonian in the diaspora that I know that all of us want. And they're being effective. I just want to make this video to let Ambazonians know that we started this revolution in a very rough way. We were not ready for it. We're not looking for it. But they brought it to us. La République du Cameroon and the French brought it to us. And we accepted the fight. And since we have accepted the fight, they are realizing that the words of Wirba were not a bluff. They were not a bluff.
The people who say Cameroon should go in two parts are correct. And there are more and more of us out there who now believe that it is the ultimate end.